This is RamView.
It's hot there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, okay.
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the July 11th, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair, having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. All right, guys, I'm rocking my Outsiders jersey again. Not next Monday, 2 Mondays from now. Yeah, I guess next Monday, not this coming Monday. I will be at camp from July 21st through the 25th, so I'm trying to get focused on our Outsiders program. About 100 kids up there in Camp Arroyo Grande, just right next to Pismo. Perfect weather, but just a lot of logistics issues. See me, contact me. We'd love for you to be part of our prayer staff going from there. Okay, not a lot of stuff breaking, not a lot of stuff happening. Again, this is that time of year, but we're going to look at the Rams and look at some projections, just what's in my head, and you guys are free to participate. What's in your head as we look at some position rooms and position groups, brief look at the NFC West, other places, and then doing a short remembrance of Isiah and Vince. And to this group, according to my YouTube demographic, this group should know who Isiah and Vince is. And I'm not talking about Isaiah Thomas and Vince Lombardi. All right, so let's roll on in. Manny Correa's with us. Guys, just let me know you're there, and I'll be glad to say hi. So we're going to look at this. I'm not going to look at quarterback. I think we know what that room is. Stafford stays healthy. Glassjaw Garoppolo, we want him to just be there in case, right? And Stetson, God bless him. Let him have a great preseason and then find his way to the UFL next spring. Anyway, we're going to look at wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, and offensive line. I know we go through this stuff. I know we break it down all the time, but I hardly say kind of like what's in my head, right? And maybe some of the stuff might be offensive to you, but I feel like I got to get it out, got to get it up on the board so you guys can tear me up if you want to. It's not really hot take, and I'm not trying to stir the pot, but it's just what's in my head. I look at Davante Adams, and I look at that wide receiver room. And I look at Davante Adams, and I think he's going to be really good, but he won't be great. He's going to be really good. That vintage Davante that was in Green Bay, I think that dude's gone, but he's going to be highly motivated. I actually heard someone share, I can't take credit for this myself, is that he's thinking Hall of Fame. His numbers are Hall of Fame, but he doesn't have a Super Bowl appearance, let alone a Super Bowl ring. Look at Torrey Holt. Torrey Holt has all the numbers. The first decade of this new century, of this new millennium, Torrey Holt's the guy. And he's got 2 Super Bowl appearances, a Super Bowl ring, and a touchdown in a Super Bowl. And he's still on the outside looking in because of the glut of receivers. Davante Adams would eventually get into the Hall of Fame, but he's going to have to take the long road, maybe even Veterans Committee, because there's such a glut of wide receivers. And they're putting in guys that I don't know if they should be going in, but Davante Adams is one, and I think he's going to be very good, not just great. And I hope I'm wrong on that. I hope he's great. I look at Puka Nacua. I love Puka, and we all, but this is what we know. And I didn't respond to the great Tim Burns as he was on a thread with me talking about he kind of sided with Jared Goff. The Rams did Jared Goff wrong, and felt like same thing a little bit with Cooper Kupp. Still a pro-Ram fan all the way, very pro-Ram, but he knows I disagree with him on this. And I always look at football as, to me, it's the beach in Saving Private Ryan, right? Can you get off the beach? Can you get to the berm? Can you make it through Red Dog 1, right? Can you get through there? And there's seldom a happy ending, right? You saw Saving Private Ryan. There's seldom a happy ending. And Puka Nacua in 2023 was a fairy tale, right? He came back last year and played really well, but he got hurt early. And this is the part that's worrying me about Nacua. Have we seen his best? Have we gotten the best out of that body? I'm worried about injuries, and I'm worried about a decline after a fast start. I see him coming out of the gate really fast, and then I see a week 4 nicks and bruise and some, a little bruise here and gets nicked up here, there. And then I just see something slowing down. So I'm a little concerned about Puka Nacua. I know, I shouldn't be, but I am. Tutu Atwell. I have full faith in Tutu Atwell. I think in the idealized, romanced brain of McSneed, they have full faith in Tutu. But while I have faith in Tutu, I do not have faith in Sean McVay getting him the touches that is necessary to justify a roster spot or 10 rocks. I'm happy they kept him around. I'm happy he's here. I love all of that stuff. But let's be real, right? Let's be real. He's had at least 2 full years prior to this to really keep Tutu incorporated, and he didn't use Tutu at all in the postseason last year. So it's on McVay. It's not on Atwell. I think the Rams had to pay $10 million to Tutu because I think some other team would have picked him up. I think they would have, and he would have been one of those guys that catches 60 passes, scores 10 touchdowns, and everyone would have said, huh, what? Why didn't the Rams use him? Full faith in Tutu, not necessarily McVay. Jordan Whittington. Everyone's high on Jordan Whittington. They have a right to be. I think he's going to be productive, but he's not going to be Puka Nacua in 2023, okay? He's going to be productive, but he's not Puka Nacua in 2023. Happy to have him on the team. I like his versatility. He's a Ram, right? Good stuff there. Kanata Mumfield, the 7th-round pick out of Pittsburgh. A lot of people like this guy. A lot of different places, various places. It's not just one group. I know they're saying, look at Cooper Kupp, look at Puka Nacua, and then, dropping down in the running back room. Look where they got Kyron Williams. Look at all these things where they got these guys. I think it would be great if Kanata Mumfield became the next Puka Nacua, right? And I think if that happens, then you put Les Snead in the Hall of Fame right now. He scored an all-pro receiver in Puka Nacua in the 5th round. Could you imagine if he scored, as people are talking potential, we're not saying it's going to happen, if he scores with Kanata Mumfield, put him in the Hall of Fame, right? Put his entire scouting department in the Hall of Fame if he scores another all-pro receiver there. We know that's highly unlikely. I think he's going to be more Jordan Whittington than Puka Nacua, but that's still productive, right? And then I don't want to talk about all the receivers. Xavier Smith versus Britton Covey, right? That's Xavier Smith's competition. I'm Team Xavier. I've seen the Covey show. It's okay. It's nice. I'm Team Xavier for one more year. I want to see it. The one big punt return he had was the one where we beat the 49ers in week 3. And he didn't have a huge one after that. But he was steady, and then they also incorporated him into the offense a little bit. I'm Team Xavier. Hopefully the Rams will keep him around over Covey, who is it's a show we've seen from there. All right. Guys, all right, you're clicking on. I got viewers on a Friday night. All right. Be sure to leave a comment here. Be sure to leave a like. Be sure to leave a share. And if you're visiting us for the first time, be sure to subscribe and check us out also on the podcast, iHeart, Spotify. Looking at the tight end room. Everyone loves Tyler Higbee. I've been writing Tyler Higbee off since the end of the 2022 season. And I think there is an emotional lift that Tyler Higbee does give the team. No doubt about that. I'll say this. He's going to come back. He's going to play hard. I think he's going to drop a couple that he should catch, and he's going to make some catches and some plays that is going to justify everything about him being on this team. But I'll say this. Tyler Higbee's going to get hurt. Flat out. Tyler Higbee's going to get hurt. That's all I'm just going to say. He's going to get hurt. And because he's going to get hurt, that's going to play a huge part in what happens with Colby Parkinson and Davis Allen. But as it stands, Tyler Higbee's number one guy, but he's going to get hurt. Terrence Ferguson, I think, is going to thrive. I think the Rams found their guy. We all watch the same film. We all watch the same highlights. We all read the same stuff. But I think Terrence Ferguson's going to survive, going to thrive. I think he's going to do really well. Will he be the blocker that Higbee is? I don't know, but he might be just enough. He might be a better version of Gerald Everett, who was McVay's first pick, and yet they chose to extend Higbee over Everett. And Everett didn't get a second contract, and he's bounced around the league ever since. Colby Parkinson. I'm not ready to say he was an absolute bust next year. I think the thing that bothered me most about Parkinson wasn't his receptions. It was that he died easy. I just didn't like the way, they didn't need two guys to tackle Colby Parkinson, right? And he never punished anybody. It's like, just wrap him up and he's down. And if someone is going to be moved from this room, it's going to be him. Higbee is a, Ram icon at tight end. Ferguson's the fresh new guy. And Colby Parkinson's the guy that somewhat underperformed. I would not call him a bust, and I don't call his contract exorbitant because they can move right off of it. If someone is moved from this group, it'll be him. Again, Higbee's going to get hurt. How serious he gets hurt will be the determinant, right, of what happens with Colby Parkinson. Davis Allen still has 2 years left on his rookie contract. He's had Stafford's faith. Stafford has placed his faith in him a few times, made some throws to him. Is he ever going to be a star? No. Is he a little bit better than Johnny Munt? Absolutely. But he's got 2 years left on his rookie contract, and something really weird would have to happen. Like another team says, oh, man, give me Davis Allen, and we'll give you a sixth or a fifth. Then Allen's gone, but I don't think so. I think all four of these guys are going to make the roster. The Rams had 4 tight ends on the roster last year, Higbee, Parkinson, and Allen, and, of course, Hunter Long, more 12 personnel. But that's what I see in the tight end room. A couple of questions dropped in or comments. Let's see what we got. Let's see. Of course, Tim Burns comes on my podcast. Tim Burns, the great Tim Burns, comes on my podcast, and he doesn't say hi to me. He says hi to Manny. All right. That's how it's going to roll. Okay. Bill, Keenan Allen is still unsigned. Would be nice addition if Puka got hurt or underperforms. Yeah, Keenan Allen's a weird one out there, right? One, he might very well be, I'm sure teams have offered him. They want to bring him in. I'm thinking Keenan Allen, it's not about the dough. It's about the ride. How far does he want to go? He hangs around. No need to sign him. No need to go after him now. If there's a catastrophic injury, I have no doubt he can get a phone call. And I'm just worried about Puka just having that catastrophic injury, that separated shoulder, that knee flares up. Because, he had injuries in college, and I'm pro Puka, but it's just, it's hard to get past what you're thinking sometimes. USA Expat, where did all this doom and gloom come from tonight? I'm not being doom and gloom. I'm pro Atwell. I said Adams going to have a great year. I'm a little worried about Puka. I shared it. I shared Whittington and Mumpfield are going to shine, be productive. Higbee will get hurt. We know Higbee's going to get hurt. The great Tim Burns even says Higbee's going to get hurt. It's just how bad. I'm very positive about Terrence Ferguson. I'm not down on Parkinson. I kind of like Davis Allen, like him better than Johnny Munt. So stick with me, USA Expat. I'll stick with me. I don't want you to turn your back on me. Steve Ramirez, has Ferguson signed yet? Heard 2 weeks ago there is a squabble. Yeah, I heard something. I didn't follow up on it because of everything being slotted. I really don't stress on those things anymore. If we're at camp in 9 days and he's not there, all right, then maybe we got an issue here. But I'm not really too caught up in it. It's the Rams. It's a player they drafted, and there's no Cincinnati Bengal involvement at all. So because of that, I believe whatever's going on there, it will get worked out. And honestly, Terrence Ferguson, there are players who would kill to be with the Rams, right? Unless all that ink he put up one side down inside his body got to his brain, or he's listening to someone really stupid, dude, your contract is slotted. Take the thing, join the Rams, and go to a first-class organization. If seriously, if for some reason Terrence Ferguson turns this into something weird, then I would say the Rams completely misjudged him, or he's getting really, really bad advice. Tim Burns, all hail the greatness that is Joe T. Well, what? Is that sarcastic, Mr. Burns? USA Expat. who has gone to number 2 in the rankings, according to YouTube here. USA Expert rewatched the wild card game versus the Vikes and saw Kyron also fumbled in that one too. All right. Yeah, he did. He did. And now that you say that, USA Expat, let's get right to it. Looking at the running back room, Kyron Williams, I think because of the character, Notre Dame guy, who he is, I'm not really worried about the contract. The only positive thing that I've heard coming out of the whole Kyron Williams contract extension stuff is that the Rams aren't going to break the bank for him. Outstanding. That's all I wanted to hear. That's all I wanted to hear. Okay. I think Kyron Williams got a really good year. You can't call it great because he's not going to go yard. He's a bullets to the gap kind of hitter, and so I think the fumbling problem, a guy like Kyron Williams, again, Notre Dame guy, Ram guy, overachiever. I think we're going to see a sharp decline in him laying the ball on the turf. I really do. So I'm very positive about Kyron Williams in that sense. And we should all be happy the Rams aren't thinking about breaking the bank for him. And he's open to whatever it says. They're talking that he's going to want to stay with the Rams. Of course he is. Why wouldn't he, right? I remember, I think before his breakout year in 2023, I described Kyron Williams as the Rams version of Kevin Falk. And I don't know if anyone remembers Kevin Falk. He had about a 10-year run as a utility running back for the Patriots at the opening from 2001 to about 2010, someplace in there, blocking back, safety valve receiver, ran the ball occasionally, got some rings. And obviously you hang around for a decade with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, you're that kind of player. And that's what I saw Kyron Williams as. But Kyron Williams went to another level. And if Kyron Williams signs a respectable contract, let's let him hang around for 8 years and something. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you, as a running back, want to stay with a team like this that wants you? I think you'll make the money you want to make over the long haul instead of in just one quick signing. Blake Corum. I like Blake Corum. I do. I think he's really solid. I think we're going to see a little bit better than we saw last year. But with all that said, I'm curious to see if it's enough, because if Jarquez Hunter can block, could he pass Corum on the depth chart? If Jarquez Hunter can block and he's more explosive and he can give you some of the things that Kyron Williams does he zoom ahead of everybody, right? On a rookie deal. And I know this will sound awful to say, does Kyron Williams and Blake Corum become a great trade piece the following year? Just throwing it out there for you guys to think about. I like the Rams running back room. I'd love to talk about Ronnie Rivers, but I don't want to waste anybody's time. We appreciate what Ronnie has done. Let's see. Tim Burns, Falk was a solid receiver and special teams guy. Yeah, total team guy, Mr. Burns, total team guy. Let's see, USA Expat. Kyron reminds me of Wendell Tyler, but without the speed. You're just saying that because he fumbles the ball, right? Tyler tightened that up after the 79 season. He wasn't great, but in terms of taking care of the ball and off the charts. But after the 79 run, he took care of that enough because, he ran for 1,000 yards in 81. He was great in 82, ran for 1,000 in Frisco, won a ring in 84, and such. And so he's not going to stay on the field if he had kept fumbling like he was early in 79. And I know it's his reputation. But who I thought was worse was Cleveland Gary. I thought Cleveland Gary was much, much worse. And of course, everything was so negative for the Rams by the time Cleveland Gary came around. But yeah, I like Kyron Williams. I think a lot of what he does, I think you could say that. I know you were being sarcastic there, amigo, but I do like a little bit of the comparison, hitting the hole, catching the ball, doing all the little things. Yeah, he just can't go yard. Just can't go yard. There we go. Okay, offensive line. Let's look at the offensive line. Alaric Jackson. See, I'm not doom and gloom. I say Alaric Jackson's going to be ready to go week 1. They caught this thing in early June, right? That's why he missed mandatory mandatory minicamp, right? They caught this thing in June. They're going to have up to 3 months to get everything right. It's not like we discovered this in week 9 like it happened in 2022. So I'm very confident that Alaric Jackson's going to be back. Rob Havenstein. Rob Havenstein's going to miss 4 games, be a little bit banged up in another one because of his age, but he's going to play well, and it's going to create a huge dilemma, like how much of a contract do you give him, right? What do you do? Do you want him to stay? But I think Rob Havenstein will miss about 4 games, and he'll play well. Kevin Dotson. Kevin Dotson has played over 2,000 snaps as a starter the last 2 years. Elite run blocker, struggles a little bit in the passing game, but I like Kevin Dotson, right guard. I'm not worried about Kevin Dotson at all, okay? So we're good there. Steve Avila. He's the one we have to find out about. I think we gave him a pass last year. I think he caught on later in the year, but, the injuries kind of threw him off. He was excellent for a second-round pick. Now, let's remember, in 2023, he wasn't John Hanna, right? He wasn't Tom Mack. He wasn't even Dennis Hara. But he was a solid player, above solid, as a second-round pick. We wanted to see him develop last year. The injuries came in, threw everything off, took him time to recover, and now we got him back. And so right now we got to find out, is Steve Avila ordinary or is he extraordinary? And that's something to keep an eye on. And then the other spot there, Coleman Shelton. Coleman Shelton will be the sacrifice we all want when things go bad. Right? If things go bad, Coleman Shelton is the one who's being put in the guillotine first, right? I say that as someone who's questioned this move all off season, and if I'm wrong, great. If I'm right, I'm going to be insufferable. So I think he's the guy whose head we're going to want to roll if something happens. I still think we love Avila. Shelton, Dotson has given us nothing to complain about. Havenstein's had a long career, and I think we're desperate to believe in Alaric Jackson. Notes on the offensive line, DJ Humphrey is a nice insurance policy, but he's liability only. He's not full coverage, okay? He's liability only. So no more than 5 games for DJ Humphrey, and we're going to be fine, right? Even if Alaric Jackson is pushed back, heaven forbid, a month in September, he doesn't play, Humphrey can handle that. What we don't want is Humphrey playing anything more than that unless it's in a mop-up role. Quisenberry, if he makes the roster, he's less than Humphrey, but he is a veteran. He has experience. He is a nice insurance policy too. But you got to have somebody you're placing hope in. Who's the next guy? So there's 3 players that I'm kind of focused on here. Bo Limmer, who I'm a full believer in, or at least I believe I want to see more. Warren McClendon, if he's playing right tackle, and then the enigmatic KT Leviston, right? We got to find out if KT Leviston can play. That's the one that interests me quite a bit. Rams could have put him on the practice squad, and they didn't. They kept him active all year. After he came back from the injury, they didn't pass him through. They like this guy. I think there's something they like about him, and I want to see these guys. These guys are the ones we place hope in. I'm not going to get too excited about Justin Diedick just yet, although he gave us 3 starts last year, and he was better than Logan Bruss. So God bless Justin Diedick as an undrafted free agent. All right, let's see here. USA Expat. If Jackson does not return early then, Reggie Scott may be one of the most important Rams in getting Humphreys healthy again. Oh, that's a good call. That's a good call. Yeah, it's huge, right? And some people are saying that Humphreys, who wasn't very good in his short stint with KC last year, they were saying he came back too soon. And with limited time playing in KC, even though he didn't play well, and now a whole off season, we might see the more yeoman blue-collar tackle that played for Arizona all those years. And obviously the Rams had an eye on him. They signed him. This wasn't Jeremiah Colon being pulled in from the day worker, line there at Home Depot. They were bringing in somebody that they liked. I think they've had an eye on him. Back in 2022, it was anybody that can walk and chew gum at the same time, and the Rams would have signed them. So I am confident about Humphreys in a limited space. Manny and Tim saying hi to each other. USA expat, just pushing your buttons after your McVay Tutu comments. Well, do you not believe in Tutu? Do you not believe in Tutu? I believe in Tutu. I just don't trust McVay in this particular situation. You've had him for 2 years. How do you allow him to disappear in the playoffs, right? Didn't get hardly any snaps at all. And there's just times I think you got to say Tutu gets 5 touches, no matter what. I don't care if it's a hitch. I don't care if it's a jet sweep. Tutu's going to get 5 touches, 3 to 5 touches every game. He's going to touch the ball because of that speed. All right. I'm Joe Terosian, sports writer for 21 years. I now do RamView, thanks to Kistler Law, our fantastic sponsors. They are also, when you see Paul Kistler pop up in here every once in a while, make sure you acknowledge, not only for RamView, but acknowledge Kistler Law is one of the sponsors for Outsiders camps to help send kids to camp. And in the last 8 years, we've probably sent over 1,000 kids to kids camp. So, and other camps as well. So it's huge to get a sponsor for that. Maybe you can't sponsor us, but you can pray for us. And if you're interested in those links, let me know. I am here because of Kistler Law and because of my books. My books are on Amazon. You can check them out. Buying those books, Kistler Law, they keep me employed in my day job, which is I pastor a very small church in Burbank, and it's called Burbank Faith Virtual. We're online, and our channel is right here on YouTube at burbankfaithvirtual.com. Actually, Burbank Faith Virtual on YouTube, burbankfaithvirtual.com out there in the World Wide Web. And then, of course, Burbank Faith Virtual across social media, or just type in my name, and you'll see me on the biggies. On the biggies. I haven't crossed over into TikTok yet. Just trying to be stubborn here on that one. Also, be sure to check out our podcast. And just a quick note: I just turned one of my short stories. It was a brief short story called Briscoe. I know. I just turned that into an audiobook. And it's just a short story, so it's less than 30 minutes. So be sure to check that out. It's on Amazon. It's an easy download, listen, and it's got AI voicing, and it sounds not so bad. So we think that might be the way of the future for us. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see, USA expat. If McVay goes more 12 personnel this year, that could affect how much Tutu plays. Yeah, again, very interesting, right? Because they gave him 10 rocks. I just hope they're a little more, well, as McVay said, we got to be more dynamic. We got to be more, do different things. So I think there will be 12 personnel. But I also think there's going to be times where Tutu's going to lose snaps to someone like Jordan Whittington. So it's just something to keep an eye on. Again, get him his touches, right? Maybe he plays 30 snaps, but he gets 10 touches. I'll live with that. I just want the ball in his hands. And honestly, on the play action rollout to his right, is there anybody on that deep out route to the baseline, to the sideline, that's any better than Stafford to Atwell? Because Atwell's speed puts fear of the Lord into all those DBs, and that pass play is always there. Yeah, I'm very pro Tutu, just not pro McVay in this manner. Okay, let's look at the NFC West real quick here. Not much. Rumors are building that Brandon Ayuk might be ready week 1. You don't want anyone to be hurt. I hope he's healthy. But I think week 1, given his injury last year, would be a bit of a rush back. I wouldn't want the Rams to do it if he was with the Rams. Then again, I wouldn't have given him a big fat contract either. He might be a number 1 physically in talent. I don't think he's a number 1 up here. And so, yeah, I think there's issues there. And if he's not ready, and he plays 2 games, gets dinged up. No, they go to Seattle to open the season, I believe, in Frisco. They go up to Seattle.